Welcome to the Hooked and Roadbound podcast. Today, I want to talk about some off road hotspots in Texas in the coastal Bend area from Corpus Christi all the way to Victoria, Texas. Welcome back, where we blend the thrill of off-roading with the serenity of coastal living. I'm your host, Christy Ogle, and today we're steering through Jeep best trails in the coastal Bend area from Corpus Christi to Victoria, Texas. Whether you're a seasoned Jeeper or just starting off on your off-road journey, these spots offer a perfect mix of challenge and coastal beauty. So buckle up. Let's dive in. Imagine this, going to Padre Island National Seashore for the very first time in your Jeep. You take a group of friends, 4 or 5 friends, all in their own Jeeps or off-road vehicles, and you get there. And at Padre Island Seashore, there's 60 miles of off-roading in the sand. And there's a bathroom right before you go out onto the beach. Now, if you go down Pins, Padre Island National Seashore, but we call it Pins for short, there's no place to go to the bathroom unless you just cop a squat in the sand or the dunes or something like that. And about a year ago, I went off-roading there with my husband and a group of friends for the very first time. Now, I was like, I want to go potty. So I go in first and I walk in, I lock the door, I do my business, and then I go to unlock the door and the lock breaks off in my hand. I couldn't unlock the door. Now, I have my husband who's a Jeeper and 3 or 4 other friends that have their own vehicles. And there's no ranger or anything around. So I'm banging on the door and I'm telling them, I'm stuck in the bathroom. There is a window. It's about this big, but it has some bars on it. And then there's the toilet that's like a beach toilet that I'm stuck in. Now it is like brick and mortar. It's not like one of the portable ones. So I'm banging on it and I tell my husband through the little bitty hole, I tell him, I'm stuck in the bathroom. Get me out. And so I used to run a handyman business. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to just take the lock off. So I find a couple of pieces that broke off and I unscrew the lock. Still locked. Can't get the door open. So I'm like, you need to call a ranger. I was in there without my phone, without anything. So thank God I was with somebody. Imagine if I would have been alone. So I'm talking to my friends and my husband through the little hole in the door. They call the ranger. They say the ranger's on the way. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 45 minutes go by, and I'm stuck in this bathroom. So we're trying to think of alternate plans since the ranger is not coming to help me get out. Because supposedly she had a key, but the lock was totally broken. I don't know. So about an hour after waiting and fretting and really trying to get a door off, my husband's next option was just to hook it up and winch it off. The ranger comes. They've called her 2 or 3 times. She gets there, but by that time, we had broken the lock. She didn't apologize or nothing. We were just done, and we went on our merry way to travel down one of my favorite places to take my Jeep and go off-roading, Padre Island National Seashore. Now, this is North Padre Island near Corpus Christi. And it's the national seashore that offers over 60 miles of drivable beach, making it a paradise for off-road enthusiasts. The terrain varies from hard-packed sand to softer areas, providing a scenic drive and some challenging spots. Now, after 5 miles down Pins, you have to have a 4x4. You can't drive down there without a 4x4, and you really need to have the right tires and the right equipment. I always like going in pairs down Penn's because you never know what can happen. You never know what's going to have you washed in. You don't know if you're going to have logs to drive over or what's really going to happen. And after you get past the 10-mile mark, there's really not any humans for 5, 10 miles. You'll maybe spot one. And here, when you go down Padre Island National Seashore, you really need to check the tides. You need to make sure you have extra gas because on that gas trip down Padre Island National Seashore, those 4 friends we took with us, we gassed up before we got on the island. They said, yeah, yeah, we're full of gas. We're full of gas. And we're like, no, you need to top it off. You don't understand. Like, this 60 miles of road can take anywhere from 3 hours to 6 hours to go down. There's no cell service. There's no rescue. There's no way to get a hold of anyone. There's just, you're out there in the elements. And if you don't plan accordingly, you can be in a lot of trouble. And you need to watch the tides because if the tide comes in, which I've seen the tides come in and it's all the way to the dunes. So you're stuck there. So when you go down Padre Island National Seashore, you definitely want to be prepared, just like with any off-roading trips, extra gas can just in case. Um, you need to let people know where you're going so they'll know if you don't come home at a time that you're approximately going to be home. So they'll know to come and look for you. But our friend, we have 20 miles left and they've run out of gas. Thank God one of our friends had an extra can of gas, but they just had to creep along the last 20 miles because it wasn't enough gas to get them out of there. So it was a pain in the butt. So make sure you're prepared when you go to Padre Island National Seashore. Now, this road goes from North Padre Island to South Padre Island. But once you get to the South Padre Island part, you can't just hop over to South Padre Island. There's a big jetty in between. That's one thing I was mistaken on when I went there. So it is 60 miles, but you can't get to South Padre Island unless you have a boat on top of your Jeep. So it's a lot of fun. You have lots of room to really try out your Jeep and have a lot of fun, but always go with a buddy Jeep or somebody that can pull you out just in case you get into trouble. I see all the time on 361 off-road, the people that get stuck down there. Their transmission goes out. They're stuck, and they're just stuck there until somebody can get down there. And if you're like at mile marker 50, you're pretty much out of luck for 2 or 3 hours if you're lucky that somebody comes along and helps you out. And you can find Padre Island National Seashore online, so check it out. Another one's Mustang Island State Park. This is great for beginners when they're jeeping and off-roading. It's between Corpus Christi and Port Aransas, Texas. While it's primarily known for its beaches, certain areas permit off-roading driving. It's essential to check with the current regulations and conditions before heading out. But contact Mustang Island State Park. Great off-roading adventure. Not very, couple miles long, but it's absolutely beautiful. One in Victoria, Texas is called Riverside Park. It's situated along the Guadalupe River. Riverside Park offers a mix of terrains for off-roading. It's a favorite among locals because of its scenic trails and its diverse wildlife. Again, that's Riverside Park in Victoria, Texas. Another one is Coletta Park and Reservoir. It's between Goliad and Victoria. It's a 190-acre park that offers a variety of recreational activities, including trails that are suitable for off-roading. The surrounding areas have a mix of terrains, and it makes it exciting for Jeepers. Coletta State Park. Another one is Lake Corpus Christi. Lots of people forget about Lake Corpus Christi because we're here by the ocean. It's located in Mathis, Texas. So while it's primarily fishing and camping destination, the park has areas where you can off-road in your Jeep and it's permitted. The trails offer scenic views of the lake and surrounding landscapes. Now is a great time to go off-roading there because the lake is at like 30–40% capacity. So you have a lot more off-roading opportunities there at this time. Now, off-roading tips for the coastal bend. Here's a couple. Check weather conditions. Always verify the trail and beach conditions before you head out. Tides and weather can significantly impact the terrain. Also, what the tides have brought in. Like that time I went to Pins for the very first time with that group of friends. We really shouldn't have taken them down there because they weren't experienced jeepers, and there was a lot of logs. There's different seasons with the tides. This time of year, the tides, when they come up and they get real high in the spring and summer, they'll bring in logs from the ocean. And if you don't have a Jeep that's set up for off-roading, it makes it a nightmare. So really check your conditions. Permits, some permits are required when you go off-roading. There's specific regulations. Ensure that you're compliant to avoid fees and fines. Like Port Aransas, Texas, if you start off-roading there and doing donuts, you can get a $500 ticket. So I've heard stories about that. So always check the permits. Travel in groups. It's safer and more fun when you go out with fellow enthusiasts. And equip your Jeep. You want to be prepared. Just like what one of our friends ran out of gas. Now we have a gas tank that we take with us, an extra one just in case. We've always got the winch hooked up. We check it out before we get out there. Make sure your recovery gear is up and running, especially when you're going through sandy and muddy terrains. You can get a 4x4 stuck. I've done it. So you really want to check these things. Now, make sure and check us out on Facebook at Badass Jeep Gypsies, YouTube at Jeep Gypsies, TikTok at Badass Jeep Gypsies, Etsy at Sunkissed and Hooked. Now, this wraps up our journey for today on the Coastal Bend off-roading tips. If you've got a favorite trail or a wild off-roading spot that you want us to know about, we'd love to hear about it. Connect with us on our social media platforms. Now, don't forget to subscribe and listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep those Jeeps dirty and your lines tight, and keep those adventures rolling.